way, up in the misty hills of Kerala in India, there's a pair of natural rock shelters that hold one of the most incredible prehistoric art galleries on the entire planet. Today we're going to journey right into the heart of an ancient mystery, the Edikal Caves. I mean, think about it for a second. It's a fascinating question, right? When a culture leaves behind no written records, how on earth do we piece together its story? How do we get inside their heads and understand their beliefs, their fears, maybe even just their day-to-day lives? Well, the answer, or at least a huge clue, is etched right onto the walls of this amazing site in Wayanad. So, let's get going. Our journey into the Stone Age gallery starts now. Okay, first things first. We really need to understand what makes this place so special. It's not just some cave. It's a time capsule, literally. So let's start with the geology, which is pretty cool. Edikal isn't technically a cave, one carved out by water over thousands of years. Nope. It's a unique rock shelter that was formed when a gigantic boulder just sheared off a cliff face and got perfectly wedged between two others. In fact, its name, Edikal, literally means a stone in between. How perfect is that? And here's what really sets it apart. While India has other famous rock art sites, like Bhimbetka, those are mostly paintings. Edikal is totally unique in the south because of its engravings. We're talking petroglyphs that were painstakingly chipped and ground right into the hard rock. And the age? Well, it's just mind-boggling. Archaeologists think the oldest of these carvings go back to at least 6000 BCE. That makes them over 8,000 years old. We're talking deep in the late Stone Age. So you've got this ancient gallery known to local people for generations. How did the rest of the world find out about it? Well, the story is this great mix of ancient mythology and, frankly, just pure accidental luck. For centuries, local legends said the cave was actually formed by an arrow that was shot by the sons of the epic hero Lord Rama. The hill's name is even Ambakuti Mala, which means pierced by an arrow. But the official discovery came way later, in 1894, when a British police officer named Fred Fawcett was on a hunting trip and just stumbled upon it. Now Fawcett, he got it. He knew this was a huge deal. He published the first scholarly report on the site in 1901, which brought Edikal to the world's attention. But it actually took until 1985 for the site to be officially declared a protected monument, finally securing its place in history. But look, the discovery story is fascinating and all, but the real story of Edikal, that's written on the walls themselves. These walls are a canvas, just covered in whispers from a really, really distant past. I mean, you've got this whole cast of characters here. Archaeologists have cataloged around 400 different images. You see human figures. Some of them are wearing these really elaborate headdresses, almost like chiefs or maybe dancers. There are animals from their world, elephants, peacocks. And amazingly, there were even pictures of man-made objects, right alongside these really mysterious, abstract symbols. Yeah, there's this one quote that just nails the feeling of being inside the cave. The walls are just teeming with these ancient messages, sometimes even layered right on top of each other. It's like this dense, super complex tapestry of prehistoric art. And what's really clever is how archaeologists can actually read these layers of history just by looking at the tools they used. The older stuff, the Neolithic carvings, they were made with rough stone tools, which makes these broad, deep grooves. But then, much later, Iron Age artists showed up with metal chisels, and that let them carve much thinner, more detailed lines. You can see it in things like the spokes on a wheeled cart. Okay, so we've got hundreds of images spanning thousands of years, but what are they trying to tell us? This is where Edikal goes from being a really fascinating art gallery to the scene of a puzzle that could potentially rewrite history. Because hidden among those hundreds of carvings is just one figure that could change a major chapter of ancient Indian history as we know it. It's this one, a really simple figure, a person holding what looks like a jar. It's so easy to overlook, but this single image might just be the most important carving in the entire gallery. It's a tiny clue that could connect two ancient worlds separated by thousands of kilometers. All right, get ready for this because here's the incredible connection. That man with a jar figure is almost identical to a specific symbol from the script of the Indus Valley Civilization. The Harappans, who lived way, way up north. This probably isn't a coincidence. It suggests a direct link Maybe a migration of people or ideas from one of the world's great early civilizations, all the way down into the south of India as their own society started to decline. The renowned Indus script scholar Arabatham Mahadevan himself called it a major discovery. Now, it's important to say this theory is still a hot debate among scholars. But if it's true, wow, it connects two distant parts of the subcontinent in a way we never, ever thought was possible. All right, so let's jump forward to the present day. What is the legacy of Etikal now, and what kind of challenges is it facing? Visiting the caves today is a real adventure. You've got to do this steep 1.5 kilometer hike up the hill, then squeeze through this really narrow entrance, and then, finally, you're rewarded with the sight of all this ancient art and this absolutely stunning panoramic view from the top. But here's the thing. This 8,000-year-old legacy is incredibly fragile. It's threatened by everything from heavy monsoon rains and plant roots widening cracks in the rock, to the impact of tourism, and even vibrations from nearby quarries that could shake the whole formation apart. So you can see why preservation is basically a race against time. The ultimate goal for a lot of conservationists is to get it a UNESCO World Heritage tag. That would bring global attention and, crucially, the resources needed to protect this irreplaceable site for the future. And that kind of brings us to a final thought, doesn't it? The artists of Etikal had this deep, human need to leave a mark, to just say, I was here. And across thousands of years, their message is still here. It really makes you stop and wonder, what legacy, what kind of mark will our generation leave behind for the people who come after us?